I'm gonna have you just talk here, and I'm gonna make sure.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello, hello. Can you see the closed caption? Oh, you'll have to mute it. You'll have to mute on your end. You'll have to mute. It's not showing on his end.
I'm sorry, where's your volume? Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna keep it down for now. Your captions should be here.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Show captions. And then,
Thank you.
yes. You good?
Yeah, good.
Is it
Hi.
big?
George, can you see it on there? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Do you see the closed caption? Test, test, test. Can you see it?
All righty, so I'm gonna mute us for now since
Excellent. Mercedes, this is my thumbs up for you. With the live stream. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for coming out. Office of Social Equity. We are thrilled to have you. I want to start our time telling you a little bit about our EVES program. So EVES, E-A-V-S, stands for Equity in Action Visiting Scholars. And this program is a new initiative at our office, the Office of Social Equity and Community. And there are several things about this program that make it very unique. So the first thing is that the scholars that we bring in have a passion for and have in many ways dedicated their lives to issues of justice and equity. These are men and women who are passionate about issues of justice, whether that's gun violence, mass incarceration, the unhoused, racial injustices. Our EVES scholars have demonstrated a commitment to justice here in Philadelphia and in the broader community. Secondly, another thing that makes this program unique is that the scholars that we bring in, they don't just lecture about this topic, but rather they use the arts and creativity as a vehicle to talk about what are oftentimes really heavy topics. Topics like gun violence and the ethics of military spending. These are indeed heavy topics, but what makes our EVES scholars unique is their creativity and the way that they can address these hard topics with hope and a bend towards restorative justice. Lastly, our EVES scholars are unique because, as mentioned in the name, it's Equity in Action Visiting Scholar. These scholars come prepared with hands-on opportunities for us, students, faculty, staff, community members, to make a difference. There are tangible opportunities for community engagement, collaboration, and partnership within the community organizations who are doing the important but hard work right here in our community. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome this year's EVES scholar, Shane Claiborne, and his guest, Reverend Sharon Risher. I'm going to go ahead and use your bio first before you come up, that's okay. Okay, so Shane Claiborne is a prominent speaker, activist, and best-selling author. He has some phenomenal books in the back, so before you guys get out, make sure you go back there and check them out. Shane has worked with Mother Teresa in Calcutta and founded The Simple Way in Philadelphia. He heads up Red Letter Christians and is a champion for grace, which has led him to jail, advocating for the homeless and to places like Iraq and Afghanistan to stand against war. Now it is grace that fuels his passion to end the death penalty and to help stop gun violence. Shane has written several books. He can be featured in a number of films, including Another World is Possible and Ordinary Rascals. His books have been translated into more than a dozen languages. His work has appeared in Esquire, Spin, Christianity Today, Time, and the Wall Street Journal. And he's been on everything from Fox to CNN and NPR. He's given academic lectures at Harvard, Princeton, Liberty, Duke, and Notre Dame. In 2023, Shane received the prestigious King Center Beloved Community Award for Social Justice from Dr. Bernice King. And I'd just like to give a couple of words about his guest, but I know that he will more thoroughly introduce her. Reverend Sharon Risher is a minister, mother, daughter, activist, and author. On June 17, 2015, a horrific tragedy happened. Sharon learned her dear mother, Mrs. Ethel Lee Lance, was killed in Charleston, South Carolina, at the Mother Emanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, along with 8 others, which also included 2 cousins and a childhood friend. Since that time, Sharon has been very outspoken about the nation's gun laws and is one of the spokespersons for the grassroots advocacy group Every Town Survivor Network and Moms Demand Gun Sense in America. Sharon is also a leading spokesperson calling for an end to the federal death penalty with deathpenaltyaction.org, even in the case of the white supremacist terrorist who killed her aunt, cousin's friend, and 5 others. She has also appeared on CNN, Good Morning America, World Department's News, CBS, and other news outlets. Sharon has been interviewed by Time Magazine, Marie Claire, Essence, Texas Monthly Magazine, and written articles for a number of print media such as Vogue and Vox. She has appeared on radio shows such as Guardian, BBC Radio, PBS, NPR, among others. She's also visited the White House and has witnessed President Barack Obama sign executive orders that pertain to new gun laws. Please join me in welcoming Shane Claiborne and Dr. Sharon Risher.
This will be here. We're going to make a whole night of it. I'll be prepared to share it up in just a bit. I'm not going to come up here because I heard this one pastor that was asked why we have such a big podium. He said that's why people get mad. You know, they throw something like that. We're a friendly crowd. And it's going to be a powerful night. Not only do we have the magnificent Reverend Sharon Risher, but we've also got some musicians and artists and organizers in the room, because this is equity in action, not equity in talking. And so we're going to actually fire up the words. Michael here is already fired up. Our friend Chris is a metal crafter out there. We've got no-go's, metal and chocolate tonight, and we'll be crafting them into garden tools in a little bit. We'll have a chance to process out, and if you want to, you can take the hammer to the barrel of the gun. But we'll get there. If this is your first time coming, this is the second of a 4-part series in Assembly in Action. The next one in March is around the death penalty, mass incarceration, and restorative justice. And it's going to be a powerful time with people that have been directly impacted by the death penalty. And then in April, we have one around militarism and war that I'm doing with my friend Ben Cohen from Ben and Jerry's Ice Cream. If you're wondering, yes, it will be Ben and Jerry's. But all of these are about come up with this idea of another world is possible. Let's dream, let's put our hands to creating and crafting a more beautiful, better world, one that's more free of violence. And art and imagination is part of that. So part of what's cool about this is I can bring a bunch of friends together. And 2 of our friends that came up tonight, they can introduce themselves a little bit more. But Ben and Brian are part of a whole movement called Common Hymn that if you haven't seen it, go check it out. They're writing and creating songs for the movement, songs that are about justice, about the liberation struggle. So we'll talk a little bit more about the song, but they'll be our speakers tonight. So they're going to bring us in with song and lead us out with song later. But thank y'all. Thank you, track to fill. So, welcome, guys. Brian came here from New York, that's here from DC. We're part of Common. We're a group of artists all around the country and the world. Primarily a songwriting project. We write for the spiritual underground. We write praise, we write protest, we write agnostic for those that need. So we're going to share a few songs with you from our hymn. This first song is a song called How Much Longer. The song is named after the say how long to sing this song. Silence, can you hear the voices coming out of the despair? Broken spirits and tormented Justice, when all is up, is the voice with even we free, free, free. To be you.
This next song is a song called Stars and Stripes. Response to the idolatry of nationalism. It's actually something that brought to the over accusation to be spoke. So it was real this song. The songs you just kind of find out there. So we can go some of those speakers.
Washed in the blood, but we bought into fear. We traded the kingdom of Jesus for something down. All monuments built to staking our claim. But the Lord pass away until only you remain. Lord of our fathers, where do we go from here? We need your grace again. Lord, in our weakness, your strength will persevere forever and ever. Amen. So grow, and your force please. Inside you conquer all from sea to shining sea. Holy wars we wage, name of our Lord. Stand for much, turn and run away from your word. Lord of our fathers, where do we go from here? We need your grace again. Lord, in our weakness, your strength will persevere forever. Amen. Again, Lord, in our weakness, your strength goes forever. Amen. Later too, so as we ground ourselves you just a little bit of how we started transforming guns into garden tools. It was like 12, 13 years ago that we were inspired by this prophetic vision that the people will beat their swords into plows and spears into improvements. And we said, well, we don't have a lot of swords in America, but we have a whole lot of guns. And we invited folks to begin surrendering firearms that we wanted to. And the first gun that we had donated was just like this one. This is an AK-47. And that was the first gun that we ever got. We chopped it up, we transformed it into a shovel and a rake. And I made that to remind me that these are also like the guns that are being used in so many of the areas of conflict right now. These lives are being lost and guns like that. But they are also guns that are still legal in Philadelphia. You can have fireworks, but you can have an AK-47. And that's not just, it's not just on the books, but it's in reality that we have shootings with these type of weapons, right? Even on our block, our 33 block of Street, we had 38 rounds shot with an AK-47 to kill one block of our house. And so this evening moves from heaviness, right? We move from guns to garden tools, but as we start, it is heavy to remember the cost of gun violence right now. And I brought this because this is the very first plow that we made in Philly from a gun that we found in an abandoned house. But that's how saturated we are, right? We were fixing up abandoned houses, creating affordable housing, and we found a handgun in that house. We turned it into this tool. And I'll never forget, Miss Ryan, she was beating on this very piece of metal. I had a picture of her son who was killed in Philadelphia, and she was beating it. She said, "This is for my hope." And we began to realize that what we're doing is not just symbolic, but it is, to use a church word, sacramental, which means holy mystery. Right? And there's something that happens as we beat on the barrel of a gun together to channel our grief, our pain, our outrage that change has not happened. And every time we do it, we kind of declare all things can be made new, which is why I brought this one. This is our new one. This is a shovel that we made. And I like to tell my angelical friends that this is what a gun looks like when it gets born in you. And it is declaration that all things can be made new, right? Policies can change, metal can be recrafted. A human person who has murdered someone is more than the worst thing they've ever done, and their heart can be transformed too. So that's what we're kind of declaring. I'll pass it around to share. And as we ground ourselves, there's always folks that say, as we talk about gun violence, they say, well, it's not a gun problem, it's a heart problem. And I like to say it can be both, right? And we need to address cultural violence. It's everywhere. It's in our music, it's in our media, it's in our government, right? It's in every time our government starts a war, they're teaching our young people that violence will solve their problems, right? And so I think of Dr. King when he talked about the heart problem. He said, well, a law cannot make a man love you, but it can make it harder for a man to kill you. And so I think that's where we go. This is a heart problem. We need to address the heart problem, but this is also a policy. And we need to think about that. So we're going to talk about that today. But just to kind of ground us in the reality of where we find ourselves, I want to read a few of the statistics of where we are. And I'll invite you, we're in this space, Philadelphia Episcopal Cathedral, which we're grateful to be here. Thanks to Reverend Lynn, Will, and Nigel have all been hosting us here tonight. And we've been careful to ground these events. These are not necessarily just for Christians and people of other faiths, people of no faith that are here tonight. So if you're here just because you showed up, because you care about building a better world, this is your space. But I do want to invite us, if you feel so moved after each of these statistics, if you want to, you can just cry out, Lord have mercy. Because right now in the United States, we have about 5% of the world's population, but we have almost half of the world's guns. Lord have mercy. We, in the United States, manufacture 9.5 million guns a year. That's 26,000 guns a day, over 1,000 guns per hour, 18 guns a minute, 1 gun every 3 seconds. Lord. In the United States, we've got 5 times more gun dealers than McDonald's restaurants. In the U.S., we have actually changed the statistic after it's 90 lives a day, and it was 100 lives a day. It's right now, it is 120 lives a day lost in gun violence. Oh, that also means my life child's been out there 48 years old. We have lost more lives to guns in my 48 years of life than in all the casualties of all of America's wars throughout history. Oh, and those the gun deaths are going up all the time, right? During just 2 years ago in Philadelphia, we set the record gun deaths that we've ever seen in the history of Philadelphia. As a nation, we've seen the gun deaths the most that they've ever been, to the point that during COVID, gun violence became the biggest killer of kids and young people in America, more than cancer or car accidents. It's guns. Oh, you can't be pro-life and not care about gun violence. It's number one killer of America. Just to unpack it a little bit more too, that it disproportionately affects people of color, right? African American kids are 10 times more likely to die of gun violence than the rest of American children. It's also one of those things that affects folks in domestic violence. A gun in the home makes someone who's abused 5 times more likely to become a victim of domestic homicide. So there's layers of all kinds of appendages that this has. Right? And it also is true that as we think of gun violence, we often think of the mass shootings, but those account for less than 2% of our gun deaths in the country. We're seeing those 120 lives also every day on our street corners, and often we don't want to make the news right here in Philly. So we think of all of those lives, not just the ones that make the news. And we also think of one of the hidden sides of gun violence is suicide. Suicide accounts for over half of our gun deaths. And the reason, or half of our overall gun deaths annually are suicide, right? Someone taking their own life. And the reason that guns are so important is because they're so unforgiving, right? Over 90% of folks who attempt to take their life with a gun will die. They almost always die. And yet what's really important is that when you look at the flip side of that, when someone tries to take their life by other methods, 80 to 90% of them survive. They get a second chance, and they don't go on, most of them, to die by suicide. They're able to get help, or we think that the crisis is remote, but guns don't give you a second chance. So there's so many layers, right? And I want to say that I love guns. I grew up, most of my family are still gun owners, but they're in that group of folks that are concerned about gun violence. So we've got whole coalitions now of gun owners against the assault weapons, of hunters that are concerned about gun violence. So there's space for everybody in this conversation to say we care about second violence. So we're not going to say everything, but we can do better. And it's also so important that this is a spiritual crisis. You know, I grew up thinking about being pro-life, but we so narrowly defined that in terms of one issue on abortion that I began to see many of my evangelical friends, as much as we talked about being pro-life, we were pro-death, right? Like we were the obstacles to life when it came to gun violence, militarism, own guns at a higher rate than the general population. The highest group of demographics for gun enthusiasts and champions are Christians. Folks that are worshiping the Prince of Peace on Sunday and still not going to be right. And I like to think that, this is problematic. I wanted to just show you a visual of this is a little jarring, but the backdrop of this is Abigail Disney is here. She did an incredible film, Armor of Light. She made all kinds of films, but Armor of Light featured Lucia McBath and also Rob Shank. And Rob is a pastor, and he gave this, and he said, I want to show you something. He said, this is the top-selling Bible cover in America. And I was like, all right, I'll be honest, when I hear it in high school. But he said, hold on, open it up. And then as I opened it, you see it says Holy Bible on the front. But as you open it up, it's not made for a Bible at all. It's a concealed carry print. This is made for a gun. And that's why it's not hyperbole to call this idolatry, right? When we put our hope in things that are not God, you attribute some God-like reverence to things that make promises of self-determination, of ridding the world of evil, protecting us, all this stuff. We treat guns with this God-like reverence, and it's become literally a form of idolatry. So as we kind of name that, that's one of the things from our heart. 2/3 of Americans live without guns. 2/3. But isn't it funny that we still have more guns than even though 2/3 of us live disarmed? And what's also interesting is there's a very small group, about 5% of Americans, that own almost half of the guns in our country. So this is a militia issue. This is a white supremacy issue. This is something that goes way back down roots, right? You can almost not imagine America without guns. And how we have built a country on stolen land and stolen labor. And so this is a part of the sin that goes way back in this country. And to kind of heal us of that, we've got to name some of the principalities and powers that are over us. And so as we think of that, I think it's also so important that the statistic right now is almost half of us know somebody who has been shot. 46% of Americans know someone who has been shot. So chances are there are people in this room who have suicides, right? Of folks that have lost loved ones to suicide and had an accident or had someone killed in our city or in our lives. And so this is personal, but it's also a time that we can declare together. It doesn't have to be this way. And so as I pass the mic to my friend, Reverend Sharon Risher, who came to part of something today, but she came from the Carolinas, from Charlotte, to be a part of this event. And we've done things similar to what we're doing tonight together several times. And I want to say, I haven't said this before, Reverend Sharon, but I want to say, she is not a professional reader. That's one of the things that she mentioned. She said, I don't want to be a professional reader. Because part of what happens when you survive things is you can end up just retelling the story of the worst thing that ever happened to you. So I want to say tonight that Reverend Sharon Risher is a hero. She's a theologian. She's an activist. She is a force for love. As Henry Mallon called it, wounded healers. And someone that has used her wounds to become a force for healing in the world. And so even before what happened to her family in Emanuel AME, she was already a counselor and a chaplain. The chaplain for folks that were experiencing trauma and violence themselves. She's been a pastor to so many. She's one of those folks that I love her because she's honest. And she doesn't sugarcoat anything. When she talks about forgiveness, it's not the fluffy stuff. She talks about how hard it is. And so it is an honor always to be together with Reverend Sharon Risher. So give it up for our sister.
I have stand behind the podium so it can hold me up. That's the thing of this. It is good and right that I'm here with you in Philadelphia tonight. When I thought about Philadelphia, of course, I wanted to climb those steps at the Museum of Art. Wanted to take a picture. I would walk all the way up, but I just wanted that picture. I wanted to eat a good Philly cheesesteak. I thought about the fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Philadelphia. I did none of those things today. You know, in my mind, I always want to do this and do that. But the Spirit said today, take it easy. Just do nothing. And that's what I did. I laid down, I ordered some tacos or Uber Eats, and read a book, and got ready for tonight. Shane is one of my favorite people. I got to be here because he gave me this opportunity. And of course, I was so happy to see Katie and the new baby Elijah. Shane has poured his heart into this city for more than 20 plus years and has been a vital voice in this community. I believe this Kensington community is sacred ground. For everything I experienced in my life, I'm a proud daughter of the American South, of two Geechee girls from the low country of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a product of the Civil Rights era, and my Southern Black heritage has shaped me into the woman of faith that I am today. But like many Black people from the South, I'm no stranger to the hate and intolerance that has unfortunately defined a large part of my history. A history of racism, violence, yet embedded in resilience, and most of all, for us, Black people, a strong faith for the love of God. We already know what happened in the church on June 17th, 2015. We know that this young, confused white supremacist walked into that church, listened to Bible study from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 4, the parable of the sower, sat there, heard all of this, and decided that this is what he came to do and he was going to do. My mother and your two cousins, a childhood friend, were all massacred in that church on that June night. But you see, what happened at that church not only affected Charleston, but it affected the world. The media besieged Charleston and our families when we had been able to process yet what has happened. I felt like a robot, praying and screaming in my mind, hoping I could not make a fool of myself or said something unbalanced or use some real colorful words. I was confronted with racism here again, forgiveness, and the death penalty. I changed my mind about the death penalty really early on after that, because the district attorney talking to the families let us know that they were going for the death penalty. The feds talked to us to find out what we believe about the death penalty, because that's what they were going to do. I hadn't really thought much about the death penalty. I believe I was like most people. If someone did something horrific, then they ought to get But after being in a situation that I had to really think about this, because the death penalty was not something I thought about. But I began to read because that's the kind of person that I am. And I started to research, and I had a hard time resolving what I thought in my mind and what was in my heart. How my faith guided my understanding of the power of Jesus Christ to forgive everybody, just not somebody's. There is no picking, my friends, and choosing whose God's grace is going to fall upon. Shane is already giving you statistics about what this is about the death penalty. More than half of the U.S. adults, 56% say Black people are more likely than white people to be sentenced to death for committing similar crimes. About 63% say the death penalty does not deter people from committing serious crimes. And nearly 70% say there is some risk that an innocent person will be executed. And we know all too well all of these things are true. After all of that research and reading, my eyes was open. I was woke. Then, because of my wokeness, I publicly announced that I was against the death penalty. My family, other people thought I had flipped my way. How could you? But you see, it wasn't me. It was Speaking Jesus, and I stole that from Sister Helen Regine, and she talked about Speaking Jesus, and I told her when I met her, and she said that, I said, I'm going to use that, because it seemed like Speaking Jesus has been a part of my life, so much so after all of this has happened. The worst thing that could have happened to me in my life woke my heart and my soul where Jesus saw that he could use me. And of course, who can resist when God comes knocking and calling? And if you're a person of faith, there is no way that you're going to tell God no. After all of that, I am now the chairman of the board of directors of Advocacy Action, which is one of the largest advocacy groups to abolish the death penalty. You see, most people remember very vividly how the families forgave Dylan 48 hours after that tragedy. I was not one of those people. I hadn't even gotten to the Carolinas yet. I was still in Dallas in the fall trying to figure out how I was going to get myself on a plane to go home, to be there, to figure out how we were going to bury my mother. See, that's why I needed to come here. Because you see, when I get up here sometimes, there were no tears. But tonight, for some reason, God felt like I needed to bring the tears because I need you to understand how hard this is. How family members have to go through some of the most devastating times of their lives. You know, people think about the Emanuel AME, see, I need you to know that these were actual people that had lives, that had dreams. But you see, at that time, I felt like Black people have been forgiving America for all its sins for so long. I just didn't want to do that. But yelling and screaming at God, I realized why our ancestors had to forgive. Just maybe not instantly, but they had to much prayer, much crying, that I accepted and I had to forgive them no matter what. If I am truly a child of God, how can I not wish and dream that God would redeem him and he would finally call on the name of Jesus and ask for forgiveness? There's so much that has happened, so much. My journey into grassroots advocacy felt like something I was compelled to do. It was like I had no choice. In the midst of my grief ball brain, I was introduced to Mama's Command Action in every town. And there I was thrust into the spotlight talking about ending gun violence, stricter gun laws. Right there. The Charleston loophole, HR 2403, has been sitting on someone's desk because our people, our legislators don't believe that a criminal background check should take more than 3 days. Because you see, that's what happened with the roof. You meant to buy a gun. The background check did not come back. Wasn't finished. But because the law said they had to give him the gun within the 3 days, he got the gun. Imagine if they had waited, if the time was extended, they would have found out that he was eligible to buy the gun. But see, that's okay, because the government, the federal government, gave these 9 families some sort of reparations. So now we know when the federal government made a mistake and caused 9 people to die, they will pay. I don't know about you, but I believe each and every person in this room tonight is a believer of the goodness and that every person has the right to live. I stand here as a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, hard stop. And because of that understanding, I dream of a just world for all, like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I have a dream. I believe I was chosen to be a dreamer, living out the Bill of Rights that all men are created equal and should be able to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You see, I feel that way about all people, not some people. If you happen to be a person of faith, we know our purpose is to make sure equality is inclusive of all, that spread the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, spreading it with kindness, love, and brotherhood. God had work for me to do, even in the midst of my immense pain and grief. Work I never thought about, work that I had never done, but I was prepared. I've been everywhere. I've met presidents, all kinds of people. But let me tell you the first time I met Shane. The first time I met Shane, I was attending, and it was invited to the Wild Goose Festival in July of 2019 that was held in Hot Springs, North Carolina. So I get there, my first thought is, this is real different stuff right here. And people milling around all out, whoa, I'm kind of right here. But yet, on the stage, I heard Reverend Dr. William Barber and his powerful call to action. Jackie Lewis and Diana Butler Bath, and many other people. My book, for such a time as this, Hope and Forgiveness after the Charleston Massacre, were under the tent with so many authors I recognized that had powerful voices. Right then, I knew that I belonged in this place. I knew then it was more than just epidemic. I was invited to speak on the big stage and doing Shane's workshop on her team. The tools were set up for melting and beating up the guns. I believe she escorted me to where the anvil and fire were set up and asked if I wanted to beat the metal, and I quickly said yes. The hammer felt heavy. I felt my body tense up. My heart was racing, and I started beating the metal as hard as I could. I screamed and cried and called each one of those 9 names, 9 rows. In my stubborn, grief from brains, I felt like I was hitting the roof. I knew then that I didn't have to imagine what I would do if I ever got close to him, if I ever met him. But then, that day, hitting that metal, I was able to release the imagination of what I had, of beating the hell out of the roof. So here I am, almost 9 years later, still talking to anybody who listens to the issues of this world. I'm passionate about it. Advocacy work is hard. Definitely not for the faint of heart. There are days when I almost convince myself to quit, and something happens, and then I'm ready to roll again. People like you and me, we know we get tired. It feels too heavy to carry the burdens of this world that we carry. But no burden is too heavy if we depend on God. Isaiah 40:31 says that when we're familiar, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That's us, people, day in and day out. I will leave you with a line from this gospel song that's one of my favorites. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living will not be in vain. People, we're not living in vain. We got stuff to do. Thank you for being here, and God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
We're not done yet. We need to go with those words in our hearts out to the Lord if you want to. But let me see the real. I'm sure Reverend Sharon, she went to him. I think she not said real, she said real. It's not, we bring a lot of different things out there, but we want to invite you to bring your hopes and your dreams, right, for a better world. This hope that things can be made different. And if you want to take the hammer, you'll be welcome to. We're going to invite folks that have been impacted by gun violence personally to come forward first. And if you want to share, you are welcome to. If you want to be silent, you can just be silent and take the hammer. Sometimes people want to say a name. Sometimes people just want to hold silence. And when we go out together, we're going to go out singing there, right here, process out together, and then my buddy Chris back there, Chris, he's our it's a little show, so we're not going to hang out too long, but we'll take a minute and porch, and then we'll come back in here. We'll wrap up just briefly in the end with another song and a few things from local organizers. We've got Ceasefire here and Heeding God's Call to call us to action. Okay? So let's go out to the porch and then come back home and we'll hang out. Reverend Sharon talks about our books. It is an amazing book for such a time as this. You don't have money, it's on the house, and I want you to take it if you want it. So we'll hang out. Let's sing together as we go out to the porch and we take the hammer to the railroad.
Everybody knows this one. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine.
So, no problem. Actually, might be better from the inside. I like your jacket. Thank you.
No, it's okay, go inside. Yep.
Over here.
We think of the prophets sometimes and we get it wrong. Sometimes the prophets were fortune tellers trying to predict the future. He said, that's not really it. The biblical prophets were not fortune tellers, they were truth tellers. And they weren't just trying to predict the future, they were trying to change the future by waking us up in this moment and saying, we don't have to go that direction. We can life this. And so, one of the things that we're reminded of every time we transform a piece of metal is the policies we change to. You know, apartheid fell, nations changed. We are radical in a different future in a different world. And there's just a couple of folks that hopefully are working on this that I want to recognize, and I want to invite you to like kind of follow with them afterwards and hear some of the concrete ways you can take action. You can also come visit us in Kensington. We're out in Kensington, Allegheny. We do this all the time. I like to set up blacksmithing meetings with Reverend Sharon Risher, the training blacksmith, and we would love to have a visit shop and transform guns. But we're also changing politics. And so, Brian, come on up here. Brian, you guys call. He's also a survivor. His brother was a victim of gun violence, so he's doing this out of his heart. And he's on our board. We got several board members involved here tonight. But Brian's going to share, and then just a couple other folks. Give it up for Brian Miller.
This is a space. Anyhow, I'm the executive director. He's the guy involved in the conference. I know exactly what we're about. And what we do is we seek to energize, organize communities. I've been doing gun violence for 30 years, originally in the second world. And one of the things I noticed is absence of faith about change things about guns. So we're trying to be a little spark, if you will, to at least understanding things. Getting involved in gun violence really intensive way. So Pennsylvania, if you look at polling on Pennsylvania, it shows that 90% of Pennsylvania support what we might call reasonable gun violence. However, we don't have secular organizations that have been trying for 4 years to get it done. We support them with that. It's hard work, as you heard earlier. But we believe the missing component is the faith community. It's a huge cohort of people, and they have something that the secular world doesn't have. Faith. Faith has power. So we want to organize that community so that it's at the table bringing about change. So you have laws and laws and you may have, guessed that probably most of you have seen our memorials of the laws, the t-shirt memorials of the t-shirts with the names of people that have been lost to gun violence. This is a way that we connect with communities, with people about gun violence, gives them, it attracts them, so we can talk to them, teach people how guns reach the street, they don't fall from the sky to the street corner, so on. So, and then we go beyond that to work together with now different faith communities to bring about inspiration. Glad to see you all here. I would love things to change. You all know.
Thank you. That's Brian's legend. She's also a winter. She made the Eagles and shows.
And we're about to try to advocacy organization. If we work to mobilize people's voices so that our legislators can hear them, to know that we want fewer guns on the street, we want fewer people dying of gun violence, and we want a world where everybody feels safe. How do you do that? Visit our table. You can sign a petition. Tomorrow I'm going to visit and speak with some 3rd and 4th graders and some 8th graders who live in West Philly schools. Their teachers send me their questions today. I got up. The questions are so simple. Why do we keep water guns? That was one of the questions. how do people get guns? Then another one, why can't you just make guns? Well, we're working on specific legislation that is sitting in Harrisburg right now, legislation is national level. And a few people are holding that legislation up. If you want to find out more, if you want to get involved, if you want to do more than just listen, but also use your voice and get trained how to use your voice, come see us.
One of my heroes in the neighborhood, working every day to save lives, both from overdoses, but also from poverty and all fronts. So she's just incredible, and I want you to tell people how to follow and get involved.
Yes, so my name is Roz. I'm the executive director of operations here at City and Philly. We've been in existence for about 12 years. So the work is heavy. The work is tiring sometimes, so I definitely need a lot more support. So I'm a survivor of an attempted homicide, but also lost my boyfriend to murder, my brother Alexander to murder, and my twin sister to suicide. So the work is endless, and I can definitely use some support. I live and work in Kensington, so you can follow Operations CRC on Instagram, Facebook, and if you want to get more information. Thank you.
Nice.
We're organizing together. She's working with the Christians and organization we organize under, but we've been teaming up to organize a pilgrimage for peace during Holy Week next month, and so we're going to be walking together. We'll invite any of you to join along one day or every day. This will take a while to walk. Jump spot.
Hello, everybody. This is Sharon Risher, president of the and board member of RLC. The Gaza ceasefire pilgrimage started out of one person's faithful action. In Australia, he was moved by the reality that millions of people were being called to walk from northern Gaza out to southern Gaza in order to escape the bombs that were dropping all over their city, Gaza City. And he decided that in faithful solidarity with those people, he would do a walk that was the length of Gaza, particularly from Gaza to Rafah. That's about 23 miles, 23 to 25 miles, measure it. So, you maybe about a month ago, a friend of his reached out to him and said, this is James Sarah, but this is Jared McKenna, who's also in Australia, reached out to him and said, do you think we can get a lot of people to do this? I mean, this could actually become a movement. And he said, yes, that would be great. So then Jared called me, and I called Shane, and I called other people, and we got this corporate together and said, let's do it. Let's get people all over the world to Gaza, ceasefire. And right now, there are 117 cities, 126 cities in 17 countries that have decided that they are going to walk the length of Gaza in their city. We decided to do it here in Philadelphia. And we start our walk will be on Palm Sunday, and it'll end on Good Friday. It'll be 4 miles per day, back, entertain, 4 miles per day. And we will start at Liberty Hill, place where we said we want liberty, give us liberty, place where it's Liberty Hill, give us liberty or give us death. And we are going to end at Rocky Martin, where we chose death. We are shipping that all over the world. And so we will have a Good Friday service at Rocky Martin. We invite people to come and be part of any leg or all of that journey. And we will give you information after I imagine we got email addresses to contact you, or we will get you.
And now, so next month, we got the next one. Actually, Reverend Sharon and I just learn the lines, right? So this is not just a single issue thing. These are intersectional, they overlap, and it's all related to this idea that violence is unreal, that was the roots of violence. And so next month, we talk specifically about the death penalty. Tia's going to give a little bit more information about that, and then I'll leave it out for some. Maybe we'll do some go and coffee, hang out, got books and stuff like that. So we don't out there. Tia, thank you so much. Tia is the organizer of all this.
Woo!
Several people that we need to thank before we head out, before we finish their song. So first of all, my colleagues in the Office of Social Equity and Community helped put all this together. If you could give that a round of applause. Has helped me with all the logistics here this year. The Reverend Dr. Chaz Howard, who has was the one who generously allowed us to use this space and accommodated the forge and the blacksmithing presentation. We gave her a gift earlier, but I also want to acknowledge Emanuel AME Church.
Woo! Thank you.
Dr. Risher, thank you so much. We actually have a special gift for you, Dr. Sharon Risher. Thank you for thank you. You have so much tonight. This is a gift from our office.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And then last but not least, as she mentioned, we will be with us again. Please save the date. It is March 19th at 7 p.m. This will be on Penn's campus, Arch Springs 208. If you registered for this event, we will email you with your email that's registered and send you all the information. But this event will be around to a better vision for justice than our current system of capital punishment and mass incarceration. And this will be an event that has a lot of participation from Penn students. Some of our fellows are collecting questions from Penn students, and she will come and represent the student voice for that event. So that will be a really powerful and important event. We hope to see you there. That is March 19th at 7 p.m. All right, thank you.
Welcome back one more time.
Woo!
This last song was Sons Club. It was written by Sharon. I see the way of the heat. When we let have the seeds instead. People don't have to be this way. I'll find you can wait the moment to crash ahead. We rather do together instead. These are the words that last to say. I cry. Jesus, I used to show mercy. I hold us closer.
hear our prayer. And patience from shoulder, for you care the sons and daughters. Do you still hear our prayers? Hear our prayers. Kyrie, Kyrie. Have mercy, have mercy, we pray. Kyrie, have mercy, have mercy, we pray. If we repent as prophesied, you would turn us from divine. If we fail to avail, our pride will be dead to Lord. Our pride will be dead to Lord.